Hello everyone. Today's video is another Q&A video. Today I'm going to be talking about binders, about spacing supplements out, and question about methylene blue, and maybe some other stuff. We'll see how much time it takes to get through those things. As per usual, nothing I'm saying should be construed as medical advice. This is for informational purposes only. If you need medical advice, please talk to your healthcare provider to get that advice. And if you don't mind at some point, please taking a quick moment to like, share, subscribe, and or post a quick comment on the video. I'd really appreciate it. So thanks in advance for taking a second to do that. I'm still working from home. I have a sick family member in the hospital, so just working from home, hence not being dressed up in shirt and tie. So first question here is about, it says here, do you think over-the-counter version, black cumin seed, bismuth, subnitrate, and alpha lipoic acid has a similar effect without a DMSA, thanks, in terms of binders. So in the video that this question was posted on, I would have been talking about a combination of the bismuth subnitrate, the alpha lipoic acid, and DMSA being a chelating agent as a really strong phase 2 biofilm disruptor. So what do I think about the over-the-counter version? I believe it's called phase 2 advance. Can't remember what the brand is, and it has black cumin seed instead of DMSA. So thank you for the question. So I've had several patients who have taken the non-chelating agent version of this formula, and it seems to work fine. It seems to do good things in terms of disrupting biofilms. I do feel like the chelating version, or the version that has the chelating agent in it, seems to be stronger, seems to work faster, but I think the over-the-counter version works quite well too. So I don't think it's like, I don't know, it's still a very valuable thing to work with, but as long as I have access to the version that has the chelator in there, I'm going to keep using that one. But if DMSA stopped existing or DMPS stopped existing and I had no option to get that again, I would definitely use this formula instead. And I would not be, I think it would just take somewhat longer to get the same results, but that's my opinion on that. So thank you for the question. Next question here. Oh my goodness. There we go. So question on the famous methylene blue video that I keep talking about. Question is combining about, it just says melatonin and methylene blue question mark. So I'm assuming the question is, can one combine melatonin with methylene blue? So again, not giving any direct advice to anyone here, but just talking about it academically. So that one's like a little bit different because melatonin is a byproduct of serotonin. And so melatonin can potentially contribute to serotonin syndrome. I actually had one patient, he years and years and years ago, probably 10 years ago now, and one of his family members had given him 5-HTP. Like, so he was on 5-HTP. He had some, I can't remember exactly what was going on. It was a long time ago. I only saw him the one time, actually. There was some type of mental health concerns going on, and he was on 5-HTP, and or maybe, shoot, now I can't remember. I think he was actually on a SSRI drug, actually, now that I think of it. So he was on an SSRI drug, which boosts up serotonin, and then he went on melatonin, and like his family member, recommended to take some melatonin, and he seemed to start having some symptoms of serotonin syndrome, which I was pretty surprised by because I've had lots and lots of patients who have been on SSRI drugs, and I've had no problem taking melatonin. Now, again, the details are hazy, but I'm not sure if his family member just put him on like a fairly high dose, like kind of overnight. Like I always titrate up melatonin, or at least I recommend that's what my patients do, starting at a low dose, gradually building up. So I'm not exactly sure what the details were around that, but I just always remember that case and thinking like, like melatonin, it's okay, it can interconvert into serotonin, to my understanding. So I think that's one where if I had a patient who was on methylene blue that was working well, and I thought they might need some melatonin for sleep, again, not giving any advice here, but I think in my practice, I would talk to them about, the possible, side effects or interactions or things like that. But I wouldn't personally view it as like an absolute contraindication, meaning that I would be cautious with it, maybe try some other things first. But if they said, yeah, melatonin always works for me for my sleep, I started taking methylene blue, it's really helping me, like, can I take these both together? We'd have a conversation about it. I don't think it would be an absolute contraindication. So yeah, but it is one that I think requires more thought than like a lot of other supplements, such as I've talked about in other videos before. So thank you for the question. and I mean, I've had patients who are taking melatonin and methylene blue now that I think of it. So it's like something I have done. I'm just saying something I would give more consideration to than other supplements potentially. And then the next question here, actually the last question, is can I take binders a few hours after taking nattokinase? So again, always appreciate it when folks test me and are asking me for advice on social media. And of course, you're not going to trick me. I'm not going to fall for it. But thank you for testing me. But in terms of general, answering this in a general academic way. So yeah, sometimes we run into this situation where it's like, okay, I have a patient who's on a binder. They're on a proteolytic enzyme like nattokinase or stratopeptidase, and they are also taking other supplements and then also food and maybe pharmaceutical medications or other things. And so how do we kind of space all this out? In my mind, I usually don't want to combine binders with anything, especially not a strong binder like, say, activated charcoal. The thought that I always have is, somebody swallows the wrong thing, kid gets into some, whatever chemical cleaners or something like that. It's like, okay, call poison control. First line advice is give them some activated charcoal to help blot up all those toxins in the stomach. So like, charcoal is a really, really good binder. Other binders, different binding affinities for different things, but generally we probably don't want to combine binders with anything else. So food, pharmaceutical supplements, probably want to keep those totally separate. We start looking at something like nattokinase and like, well, what is that? Well, it's a proteolytic enzyme. So what does that mean? It breaks down proteins. And so generally when I recommend nattokinase or other proteolytic enzymes, I usually recommend taking them away from everything if it's not too much of a hassle to do that. Definitely away from food because there's protein in food. I mean, I guess theoretically if someone was just eating like pure sugar out of a dish, maybe it wouldn't matter, but it's a really bad idea to do that. So I generally recommend taking it away from everything. But if we had to make some compromises here, at the very least taking it away from protein would be important. So I for my patients, I think binders away from everything, proteolytic enzymes like nattokinase, ideally away from everything, but at the very least not with any proteins. And there are proteins in lots of different things. So, even, I don't know. So it'd be a little bit case by case, I suppose. And so I guess the easiest way or the most surefire way would be to just separate out everything. So, I have my, binders when I wake up, maybe wait, an hour or so, take my enzymes, maybe wait an hour or so, then have my food with other supplements and things like that. And then, however many times a day a person needs to take these things, my practice would typically be, twice a day, but maybe sometimes just once a day. Then, trying to space it out in a similar manner later on. But one could get a bit sort of savvy as far as the combining the nattokinase with other things potentially. So anyways, long-winded answer as per usual. Those are my thoughts. I'm not going to keep talking about this. I think I've made my point. But if I didn't answer the question, then please feel free to ask clarification and I will do my best to answer. Where I still have a minute or so left on my video time here. Totally off topic here, nothing to do with any health, not directly related to health, but there's a video that I watched recently. I actually watched it again for the second time. I kind of forgot that I've watched it a couple of years ago. It's a really, really great video, in my opinion. There's a gentleman by the name of Ray Dalio, R-A-Y, got his name up here somewhere, D-A-L-I-O. He has several really great videos, and one of them is called shoot, now I can't remember now. It's something called something to like how the financial system works in 30 minutes or less. And it's just, in my opinion, like just a really great succinct explanation of how the financial system works, things related to like, inflation and various other things. And it's a video like I'm going to have all my kids watch it just so they can better understand like kind of how our financial world works and all of that. He has a bunch of videos on there actually, and I'm going to rewatch some of them. But anyways, I just recently watched it and it came up in my little YouTube feed here off to the side when I brought up this question. So I thought I'd just mention that if I had a minute, and I did. So anyways, if anybody has any questions on this topic or anything else, feel free to post in the comment section below, and I will leave it there for now.